as former President Donald Trump remains defiant in the face of 4 criminal indictments.
We did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong.
A high-stakes hearing is set for Fulton County, Georgia on Monday. Mark Meadows, Trump's former chief of staff and one of 18 Trump associates charged in Fulton County for running what was akin to a criminal enterprise to conspire to steal the 2020 election, requesting his case be moved to federal court.
Mark Meadows is essentially arguing that he fits within the federal criminal removal statute because he was acting at the behest of a federal official.
District Attorney Fonnie Willis issuing subpoenas for elections investigator Francis Watson and Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to testify. Raffensperger is the Republican Secretary of State who took this call from Trump in the wake of the 2020 vote.
Okay, so this is it. This is the moment everything changes. A federal judge just ordered Donald Trump's immediate arrest, not a future arrest, not dependent on some other event. Immediate arrest right now. And the reason is explosive testimony from Mark Meadows. Trump's former White House Chief of Staff Meadows took the stand and revealed everything under oath in open court. He laid out Trump's plan to overturn the 2020 election, described the plotting, named the people involved, and provided internal memos and communications proving Trump's direct role in illegal schemes to hold on to power despite losing. The courtroom was in shock. Trump's lawyers were in meltdown. And the judge, after hearing Meadows' testimony and reviewing the documentary evidence, made a historic decision and ordered Trump's immediate arrest. Said, "No person, including a former president, is above the law." But before we go any further, real quick, let's be honest. You cannot really trust mainstream media anymore. That is why we built Pump Politics, to bring you real stories, real context, and no corporate agenda. If you want to stay ahead of the headlines, join our free newsletter. We will send the news straight to your inbox every day. Just click the link in the description to join. And if you simply want to support what we are doing, join us. Be part of the community that actually cares about the truth. All right, let us get back to the video. Mark Meadows did not just testify, he confessed. He admitted to his own role in election fraud, conspiracy, and forgery.
The hearing will be the first opportunity to hear from some of these key witnesses in open court. If Meadows is successful moving the trial to federal court, it could have an impact on other defendants, including Trump himself.
The jury pool will come from a larger geographic area, and they may be able to drag in some of those suburban Trump voters. You'd also be taking the state prosecutors out of their home court advantage.
He has been indicted in Arizona and Georgia for those crimes, and he took a plea deal, agreed to cooperate fully with prosecutors in exchange for reduced charges. That cooperation includes testifying against Trump, handing over all the evidence he has, and revealing everything he knows about Trump's attempts to overturn the election. And what he revealed in court was devastating. Meadows described knowingly pushing false fraud claims. He said Trump knew the claims were false, that they had been looked into and disproved, but Trump ordered his team to push them anyway, to use them to justify challenging election results, to create doubt about the legitimacy of Biden's victory. Meadows testified about taking part in plans to disrupt Congress's certification on January 6th. He described meetings where Trump and his advisors talked about how to stop Congress from certifying the electoral votes, how to pressure Pence into refusing to count certain states' votes, how to use the rally on January 6th to create chaos that would block certification. The testimony about Trump's direct orders to pressure state officials was particularly damning. Meadows described Trump telling him to call governors, to call secretaries of state, to pressure them to change vote counts or refuse to certify results. Meadows said he made those calls, delivered Trump's threats, tried to convince officials to break their duties, all on Trump's direct orders. The fake elector scheme was laid out in detail. Meadows testified about setting up false electors in states Trump lost, about creating fraudulent documents claiming these fake electors were the real ones, about submitting those documents to Congress, all designed to create confusion on January 6th to give Pence a reason to refuse certification. Meadows said Trump was directly involved in planning this scheme, approved it, and directed its execution. The documentary evidence backing up Meadows' testimony made it impossible to dispute. Prosecutors presented emails Meadows sent on Trump's behalf, text messages between Meadows and others coordinating the scheme, and internal memos showing the planning process, real-time records proving Meadows was telling the truth about what Trump ordered. And when the judge reviewed all of this, the testimony, the documents, the communications, and concluded that there was overwhelming evidence of criminal conduct, that Trump had planned a conspiracy to overturn the election, that he had used fraud, forgery, and pressure to try to hold on to power illegally, and that this criminal conduct called for immediate arrest. The judge's statement about no one being above the law was powerful because it addresses Trump's main defense. Trump has been claiming that as a former president, he cannot be held accountable like ordinary defendants, that he has special protections, that prosecuting him sets a dangerous precedent. But the judge rejected all of that, said Trump is subject to the same laws as everyone else, that his former position does not protect him from accountability, that when evidence proves criminal conduct, arrest is appropriate regardless of who the defendant is. The arrest order being immediate rather than allowing Trump to surrender creates urgency. Judges usually give defendants time to arrange voluntary surrender, but this judge ordered immediate arrest. That means law enforcement carrying out the order right now, going to wherever Trump is and taking him into custody. That urgency suggests the judge believes Trump is a flight risk, or that he might try to destroy evidence or pressure witnesses if given time. So the judge is making sure Trump is arrested before he can take any of those actions. Trump's legal team being in meltdown is understandable. They just watched their client's former chief of staff testify fully about Trump's crimes, watched documentary evidence back up that testimony, and watched a judge order immediate arrest. There is no defense against that, no way to spin it, no legal argument that can overcome a cooperating inside witness with documentary proof. The admission by Trump's own attorneys about holding back documents and helping cover things up made the situation worse because that is obstruction. That is a sign of guilt. That is Trump's team knowing he is guilty and trying to hide the evidence. When the judge factors in that pattern of obstruction along with Meadows' testimony, the conclusion that Trump needs to be arrested immediately becomes even stronger. The precedent being set is historic. Never before has a former president been arrested based on testimony from their own chief of staff. Never has there been such complete insider evidence of presidential crimes. This case establishes that presidents can be held accountable, that their inner circle can testify against them, that no amount of power protects you from justice if you commit crimes. All right, so let us dig into the specifics of what Mark Meadows testified to, why his testimony is so believable, and what the arrest order means for Trump's immediate future. Meadows was Trump's chief of staff during the critical period after the 2020 election. He was in the room for every major decision, every planning session, every conspiracy meeting. He heard Trump's private thoughts, his real motivations, the things Trump said when he thought only loyal staff were listening. That makes Meadows the ultimate inside witness. He does not have to guess about what Trump knew or intended. He was there. He heard it directly from Trump. The fact that Meadows was himself charged with election fraud creates both credibility and vulnerability. It gives him credibility because he is admitting to crimes he himself committed. He is not just pointing fingers at Trump to save himself. He is confessing to his own criminal conduct and explaining Trump's role in directing that conduct. That kind of self-incriminating testimony is powerful because why would someone admit to crimes unless they are telling the truth? The vulnerability comes from the fact that Meadows needs his cooperation deal to avoid serious prison time. If he lies, prosecutors can tear up the deal and prosecute him fully. So Meadows has strong reason to tell the complete truth, to provide accurate testimony backed by evidence, and to be a reliable witness. The immunity Meadows received for federal testimony while still facing state charges is a strategic prosecution decision. Federal prosecutors gave him immunity to make sure he would testify fully about federal crimes, but state prosecutors in Georgia and Arizona are still pursuing charges. That means Meadows cannot just walk away from this. He faces serious consequences unless he provides valuable testimony that leads to convictions. That pressure ensures his cooperation is genuine. The specific testimony about false fraud claims being knowingly pushed is devastating. Meadows did not just say Trump promoted false claims. He testified that Trump knew they were false, that advisors had told Trump the claims had been looked into and disproved, that experts had explained there was no significant fraud, but Trump ordered his team to push the claims anyway, to use them to justify legal challenges and political pressure. That testimony proves Trump acted in bad faith, that he was not genuinely mistaken about fraud. He was deliberately lying. The details about disrupting Congress's certification on January 6th connect Trump directly to the violence and chaos that day. Meadows testified about meetings where Trump discussed using the rally to create pressure on Congress, where Trump talked about blocking certification, where strategies were discussed for stopping Pence from counting certain states' votes. That testimony proves January 6th was not a spontaneous event that got out of hand. It was planned. It was part of a bigger strategy to stop Biden from being certified as president. And Trump was directing that strategy. The pressure on state officials' testimony includes specific examples. Meadows described Trump telling him to call Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to pressure him to find votes, to threaten him with criminal investigation if he did not cooperate. Meadows said he made that call, delivered those threats, and he testified about similar calls to other state officials, all at Trump's direction, all designed to push officials into breaking their duties. The fake elector scheme is particularly well documented. Meadows testified about organizing meetings where the fake elector plan was developed, about finding people willing to serve as fake electors, about creating documents that falsely claimed these people were the real electors, about submitting those documents to Congress. And he provided emails and memos showing all of this was done with Trump's knowledge and approval. That documentary evidence proves the conspiracy, shows it was not just a rogue operation by some staffers. It was coordinated from the White House with Trump's direct involvement. The internal memos Meadows handed over apparently include planning documents for the January 6th rally, communications about what Trump would say, discussions about how to boost attendance, plans for what would happen after the rally, all showing deliberate planning rather than a spontaneous speech that unexpectedly led to violence. The digital messages include texts between Meadows and other Trump allies coordinating the various schemes, messages discussing legal strategies, discussing which officials to pressure, discussing how to respond when courts rejected Trump's challenges, all of it showing a coordinated effort across multiple people and strategies, all aimed at stopping Biden from becoming president. The real-time records are crucial because they cannot be dismissed as Meadows' memory being faulty years later. These are documents created at the time, emails sent when events were happening, memos written as plans were being developed. They prove Meadows is accurately describing what occurred, that his testimony matches the documentary record. The judge's review of all this evidence led to the conclusion that Trump's criminal conduct was proven, that there was probable cause to believe Trump committed conspiracy, fraud, and obstruction, that testimony and documents established Trump's guilt beyond reasonable debate, and that given the seriousness of the crimes and Trump's resources and connections, immediate arrest was warranted. The decision to order immediate arrest rather than allowing voluntary surrender suggests specific concerns. Maybe evidence that Trump has been attempting to flee, maybe communication showing he has discussed leaving the country, maybe information that he is destroying evidence or pressuring witnesses. Whatever the specific reason, the judge concluded that giving Trump advance notice of arrest would create unacceptable risks. The carrying out of the arrest order creates challenges never seen before. How do you arrest a former president? What kind of facility do you hold him in? How do you handle security? Who has jurisdiction? All of these questions need to be answered right away, because the order is for immediate arrest, not arrest sometime in the future. Law enforcement agencies are scrambling to coordinate, to make sure they have proper resources, and to plan for all possibilities. The political fallout of arresting Trump is enormous. His supporters are going to call this political persecution, are going to protest, are going to demand he be released, but the legal basis for the arrest is solid. The testimony is credible, the evidence is overwhelming, and the judge has legal authority to order arrest when crimes are proven and flight risk or danger exists. Okay, so let us break down what this arrest order means for Trump, for American law, and for presidential accountability. Point 1. Mark Meadows' testimony as a cooperating witness with insider knowledge provides the kind of evidence that makes conviction virtually guaranteed. Meadows was there. He took part. He heard Trump's actual words and saw Trump's actual intentions. And now he is testifying about all of it under oath with documentary proof. That is devastating evidence that no defense can overcome. Juries believe inside witnesses, especially when their testimony is backed by real-time documents. Trump is going to be convicted based on this testimony. Point 2. The judge ordering immediate arrest rather than allowing voluntary surrender shows courts are treating Trump like any other defendant who poses a flight risk or danger. No more special treatment, no more respect for Trump's former position. If evidence shows he committed crimes and there is reason to believe he might flee or obstruct, he gets arrested immediately, just like any other defendant would. That equal treatment is important for the rule of law. It shows that presidential power does not create permanent protection from accountability. Point 3. The documentary evidence backing Meadows' testimony removes Trump's ability to claim the testimony is made up or unreliable. Trump cannot say Meadows is lying when there are emails and memos proving Meadows is telling the truth. Cannot claim this is all fabricated when real-time records show exactly what Meadows described actually happened. The documents make this an airtight case. Make conviction inevitable. Make Trump's guilt undeniable. Point 4. The historic nature of arresting a former president based on their own chief of staff's testimony sets a precedent that will limit future presidents. They will know that their inner circle can be turned. That cooperation deals can flip their closest advisors into witnesses against them. That no amount of loyalty prevents accountability when crimes are proven. That precedent makes future presidential misconduct less likely, makes presidents think twice before ordering illegal acts. Point 5. This arrest represents the end result of years of investigations and mounting evidence finally leading to accountability. All the investigations, all the testimony, all the documents, all of it led to this moment. A cooperating witness providing full evidence, a judge reviewing that evidence and ordering arrest. Trump finally facing real consequences for his attempts to overturn the election. That accountability matters for democracy. Shows the system works even when defendants are powerful. So, what is the bottom line? A federal judge ordered Donald Trump's immediate arrest based on explosive testimony from Mark Meadows. Trump's former White House chief of staff took the stand and revealed everything under oath with documentary proof. Meadows laid out Trump's conspiracy to overturn the 2020 election, the planning, the coordination, the direct orders Trump gave, all of it illegal, all of it designed to keep Trump in power despite losing. Meadows testified about knowingly pushing false fraud claims, about taking part in disrupting Congress's certification, about pressuring state officials, about the fake elector scheme. Every major part of Trump's attempt to overturn the election, all described by the insider who was involved. The documentary evidence backing up every word, emails Meadows sent, texts coordinating the schemes, internal memos showing the planning, real-time records proving it all happened exactly as Meadows testified. The judge reviewing the testimony and evidence and concluding Trump's guilt was proven. That criminal conduct called for immediate arrest. No more delays, no more special treatment, just arrest like any other defendant who commits serious crimes. The statement that no one is above the law is historic, a federal judge directly rejecting Trump's claims of special protection, saying his former position does not protect him from accountability, that equal justice applies to everyone. The arrest order being immediate, showing Trump is a flight risk or poses a danger requiring immediate custody, not giving him time to flee or destroy evidence or pressure witnesses, just immediate arrest and detention. Trump's legal team in meltdown because there is no defense against a cooperating inside witness with documentary proof. No way to get past Meadows revealing everything with evidence backing it up. The admission by Trump's attorneys about holding back documents adding to the sense of guilt, showing Trump's team knew he was guilty and tried to hide evidence, making the case for arrest even stronger. The precedent being set establishing that former presidents can be held accountable, that their chief of staff can testify against them, that cooperation deals can flip the closest advisors, that no amount of power stops justice when crimes are proven. Meadows' immunity for federal testimony while facing state charges, making sure his cooperation is credible and complete. He needs to tell the truth to keep his deal. Needs to provide valuable testimony to avoid serious prison time. That pressure making sure he is a reliable witness. The historic nature of arresting a former president based on testimony from their own chief of staff being something never done before in American history shows how serious Trump's crimes were, how strong the evidence is, how accountability applies even to the most powerful. This is the moment everything changes. Trump is not just facing charges anymore. He is being arrested, being taken into custody, facing immediate detention, all because Mark Meadows testified about serious crimes, about Trump's conspiracy to overturn an election, about deliberate fraud and pressure and illegal schemes. The judge heard that testimony, reviewed the evidence, and concluded arrest was warranted. Immediate arrest, no delays, no special treatment, just accountability for a former president who committed serious crimes. This is what justice looks like when it actually works, when inside witnesses cooperate, when documentary evidence proves guilt, when judges apply the law equally regardless of a defendant's power. Trump ordered arrested and law enforcement carrying out that order right now.